West Virginia is a special place. Its rolling hills and deep forests hold many secrets. People here have always loved to tell stories. These tales are passed down through families. They speak of strange creatures and unexplained events. The mountains seem to whisper old legends to those who listen. This land has a rich history of folklore. It is a place where the unusual can feel very real. Among all the tales, one stands out. It is the legend of the Mothman. The Mothman story began in the 1960s. It captured the attention of people far beyond West Virginia. It is a story filled with fear, mystery, and strange sights. The creature itself was unlike anything seen before. It was large, winged, and had glowing red eyes. Its appearance terrified those who saw it. The Mothman legend became a significant part of American folklore very quickly. It was reported in newspapers. Real people, your neighbors, claimed to see this creature. This made the story much more frightening. It happened in a specific place, Point Pleasant, and it happened during a specific time. This gave the legend a strong sense of reality. The most famous Mothman sightings began in November 1966, but some say there were earlier whispers. Strange things were happening around Point Pleasant. People felt uneasy. They heard odd sounds at night. Some even reported seeing large, dark shapes in the sky. These early accounts were often dismissed. People did not want to believe something so strange could be real. They tried to find normal explanations. Maybe it was a bird, maybe it was a trick of the light. But the feeling of unease grew in the small West Virginian community. One of the earliest documented encounters happened on November 12, 1966. It involved 5 men. These men were grave diggers. They were working late in a cemetery near Clendenin. This town is not far from Point Pleasant. As they worked, they saw something incredible. A large, dark figure rose from the trees. It was man-shaped, but it had huge wings. It flew silently over their heads. The men were terrified. They had never seen anything like it. They knew it was not a bird. The gravedigger's story, though quiet at first, added to a growing sense of dread. Something was definitely out there, and it was not friendly. The night of November 15, 1966, changed Point Pleasant forever. 2 young couples were out for a late-night drive. Roger and Linda Scarberry were with Steve and Mary Mallette. They were driving near the old TNT area. This was a former World War II munitions plant. The area was deserted and dark. It was known locally as a place where strange things happened. The couples were not looking for trouble. They were just passing time, enjoying a quiet evening together. What they saw next would terrify them and the entire region. As they drove past an old power plant building, Linda Scarberry gasped. She saw 2 huge red circles in the darkness. They looked like eyes. At first they thought it might be an animal, but then the eyes moved. They belonged to a large, dark figure. It was standing near the road. Roger, who was driving, slowed the car. The creature was about 7 feet tall. It had large wings folded against its back. It looked like a man, but it was not human. Its eyes glowed with a terrifying red light. They were mesmerizing and horrifying. The creature then did something truly frightening. It spread its wings. They were enormous, perhaps 10 feet across. It rose into the air. It did not flap its wings much. It just glided. It began to follow their car. Roger sped up, desperate to escape. The creature seen by the Scarberrys, Mallettes, and others was hard to describe. It was unlike any known animal. Eyewitnesses struggled to find words for it. Most agreed it was tall, between 6 and 7 feet. It had a man-like shape, but it was covered in dark grayish or brownish fur or feathers. Its body was thick and powerful. Some said it had no visible head, or perhaps its head was part of its chest. The most striking feature was its wings. They were huge like a bat's, but much larger. The wings were a major point of discussion. They had a wingspan estimated at 10 to 15 feet, but the creature rarely seemed to flap them. Witnesses said it glided. It could fly very fast. It could keep up with cars going at high speeds. This effortless flight was very unsettling. How could something so large fly so easily without flapping? This added to the mystery. Was it a bird? Was it something else entirely? No one knew. The way it moved was both graceful and terrifying. It was a silent hunter of the skies. Then there were the eyes. Everyone who saw Mothman mentioned the eyes. They were large and round, and they glowed. The color was always described as red. Some said they were like bicycle reflectors. Others said they glowed from within. After the Scarberry and Mallette sighting, things changed quickly. Deputy Halstead took their reports seriously. The local newspaper, the Point Pleasant Register, published the story. Soon, other papers picked it up. The Associated Press spread the news across the country. Suddenly, Point Pleasant was famous. It was famous for its monster. An editor at a newspaper in Ohio came up with a catchy name. He called the creature Mothman. The name stuck. It sounded like a comic book character. But the fear was very real. More sightings started to pour in. People all over Mason County reported seeing Mothman. Some saw it flying overhead. Others saw it standing by the roadside. Some even claimed it peered into their windows. Each new report added to the growing panic. The town was on edge. People were afraid to go out at night. They kept their children inside. Hunters formed groups to search for the creature. They armed themselves with guns. They wanted to find Mothman and kill it. But Mothman was always elusive. The media loved the story. Reporters came to Point Pleasant from all over. They interviewed witnesses. They wrote sensational articles. Some papers treated it like a joke. Others treated it like a serious threat. For 13 months, Mothman sightings continued. The fear and excitement were constant. Then, on December 15, 1967, something terrible happened. It was a cold, late afternoon. Rush hour traffic was heavy on the Silver Bridge. This bridge connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to Gallipolis, Ohio. It spanned the wide Ohio River. It was an important link for the community. Many people used it every day to go to work or to shop. That day, the bridge was packed with cars and trucks. Suddenly, with a sound like a gunshot, the bridge began to shake. Then it twisted and broke apart. Huge sections of steel and concrete plunged into the icy river. Cars and trucks fell with it. People screamed. The scene was one of chaos and horror. The Silver Bridge, a symbol of connection, became a scene of disaster. It collapsed in less than a minute. There was no warning. One moment it was there, strong and steady. The next it was gone, swallowed by the dark water. Rescue efforts began immediately. After the Silver Bridge collapsed, something strange happened. The Mothman sightings almost completely stopped. The creature that had haunted Point Pleasant for over a year seemed to vanish. This sudden disappearance was very noticeable. People started to connect Mothman with the bridge disaster. Had the creature been trying to warn them? This idea began to spread. It offered a different way to look at the terrifying encounters. Maybe Mothman was not a monster after all. Perhaps it was a messenger. Some people believed Mothman was a harbinger of doom. They thought its appearance was a sign that something terrible was going to happen. The TNT area where many sightings occurred was close to the bridge. Was Mothman drawn to places of future tragedy? This theory was popular. It fit with old folklore about creatures that appear before disasters. People remembered stories of banshees or other spirits that warned of death. The glowing red eyes, once seen as menacing, were now reinterpreted by some as a sign of sorrow or urgency. Others had a darker view. They thought Mothman might have somehow caused the collapse. This was less common, but some people felt the creature had a malevolent presence. They believed its appearance brought bad luck and disaster to the town. The timing was too coincidental for them. The creature appeared, terrorized the town, and then a terrible tragedy struck. After the bridge fell, Mothman left. For many years after the bridge collapsed, Point Pleasant tried to move on. The memories of Mothman and the tragedy were painful. People did not talk about it much. The town focused on rebuilding and healing. The Mothman sightings faded into local legend. It was a strange chapter in their history, but as time passed, something interesting happened. A new generation grew up. They heard the stories of Mothman. They were fascinated by the mystery. The fear began to lessen. Curiosity took its place. In the early 2000s, Point Pleasant started to embrace its unique legend. The book The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel was made into a movie. This brought the story to a whole new audience. Suddenly, people from all over the world were interested in Mothman. They wanted to visit Point Pleasant. They wanted to see the places where the creature was sighted. The town realized that Mothman was not just a scary story. It was a part of their identity. Today, more than 50 years after the first sightings, the Mothman legend is stronger than ever. People are still fascinated by the story. What was the creature that terrified Point Pleasant? Was it real? Some think it was a misidentified bird, like a large owl or a sandhill crane. But witnesses insist it was much larger and stranger. The glowing red eyes are hard to explain with this theory. Some suggest Mothman was an unknown creature, perhaps a cryptid. The forests of West Virginia are vast and wild. Could something like Mothman live there, hidden from us?